Hi guys, welcome back. I feel like I've been away for a while. Well, I have. It's been a few weeks over Christmas. Been completely wiped out. The whole family was ill over Christmas. We went on holiday to Scotland, and I'd planned to get loads of content done. I got nothing done. I was dead in bed. But I'm back again. Voice is a bit funny, but that's it. It's a new year. Happy New Year. So yeah, gonna have a really productive one. This video is about 4 things you need to be aware of before you buy your first Rolex. If you bought a Rolex already, then you'll be well aware of this stuff. But I get contacted all the time on Instagram by guys trying to buy their first Rolex. And this isn't supposed to be a downer video. This is just bringing things to the forefront that you need to be aware of. Kind of like when you buy a car, it's not just buying the car, you've got to get an MOT, you've got to get the insurance, you've got to put fuel in it and all of that stuff. So it's just bringing those things to the forefront of your mind. Before we get into the video, I want to do a quick wristwatch check, because I have put the green bezel, another aftermarket bezel, but a green bezel back into my Rolex Kermit, and it was quite a nice moment. I'd put a faded green bezel in this watch, and although I really liked the faded green, it kind of lost its specialness. And so by putting this bezel back in, it was a nice moment of, holy shit, I've got an awesome watch. The green really gives it a little pop. So pleased that I've got this watch. I'm so glad that I've not sold it as well. So the first thing we're going to talk about is servicing. Probably the single most expensive thing that you're going to have to encounter when buying an automatic watch, and certainly a Rolex. Rolex aren't the most expensive when it comes to servicing, but they are expensive. So basically, there's kind of 3 categories. If your watch is new or less than 7 years old, then it comes with a 5-year guarantee on the movement, and Rolex suggests you have it serviced every 10 years, which is pretty damn impressive. If it's older than 7 years old and not vintage, then you should service it between 3 to 5 years, depending on how often you use that watch and how you use it. For example, if you travel a lot and it goes through those X-rays at airports, any interference with a large magnet, that can really damage the movement and require it to need servicing more often than if you weren't close to large magnets. So that's something really to take into consideration. Unless you have a Milgauss, and I think a Milgauss is quite good. That's kind of its job. So basically, beyond that, vintage. Vintage is tricky. When my late granddad's vintage Omega, Omega told me that I shouldn't get it serviced unless it stops. Which it's a funny thing for someone to say, but I kind of get it. And they explained it, a watchmaker explained it as the movement, all the cogs and everything, they've been running against each other for so long that they kind of just become molded, and they have their own kind of character. They get worn down together, and it just keeps ticking over. And if it's ticking over, then it's absolutely fine. It'll still need to be lubricated, but so far as replacing parts, you shouldn't really do that. Introducing new parts into a vintage movement can damage it. But don't take my word for that. If you've got a vintage piece, and go talk to a watchmaker and get their advice on what they think. So price-wise, the basic service is between £400 to £600. It changes all the time, and it's dependent on the model and basically how complicated the movement is. A submariner, which is a relatively simple movement, is around £470 for the basic service, and that just includes a strip down of the movement, a cleaning and lubricating of the movement, and then putting the whole thing back together again. And it also includes a polishing of the bracelet and the case. Anything extra, so glass, parts inside, or maybe spare links or extra links rather in the bracelet, then that is all going to be an extra cost. And so basically you should set aside about £1,000 if you're going to have your watch serviced. It shouldn't cost that much unless your watch is completely destroyed, or if it's going to be an overhaul. If it's going to be an overhaul, then it's probably going to be more than £1,000. But just be prepared to pay more than that £400, £600. The good thing is you're going to get a pretty much a brand new watch back again. It's going to be guaranteed, and it's going to look amazing, and it's going to have fresh papers with it as well. The second thing is personal safety. I've done a video on this already. If you live in London or live in a city, then basically this is going to be different for everyone, because it's kind of the areas that you live in. And I live in London, and there's a massive kind of industry where thieves work with spotters. So there'll be someone in a public place, whether it's a bar or a club or on a tube, and they'll know watches. They'll be an absolute expert within watches, and they'll be able to spot decent pieces on people. They'll call through to their mugger people, and they'll give them a target and get that watch off them. And unfortunately, they'll usually do whatever it takes to get the watch, and that can often result in killing someone or seriously harming them. This has never happened to me. I've come close to it. I've had friends who have had their watches stolen, and certainly close to where I work, there have been people mugged for their watches. But as I say, that's kind of part and parcel of it. The same can happen with your iPhone. The same can happen with a bag. It's not to scare you, because it happens, but you just need to be ultra aware of what's going on around you. So the third thing is insurance, and this is quite a tricky one, and took me quite a while to solve for myself. If you buy cheap insurance, home insurance that is, through websites like Compare the Market and stuff like that, quite often those companies won't insure your watches. If you need to insure a watch for £6,000, £7,000, £8,000, that's going to be an item that is on you pretty much all the time and out of the house. And they tend to freak out about stuff like that. So you will need to do quite a bit of shopping around. If you've just taken out insurance, then you'll need to go check out individual item insurance. Depending on how many watches you have, depending on where you live, the price always changes. But it's kind of one of those things. Something that can reduce your insurance is owning a safe. A certified safe can cost between, £200–300. And that's something that insurance companies like you to have whilst you're not physically wearing that watch. Whilst it's not on your body, they want you to have it in the safe. But again, that's down to your insurance policy. Not everyone requires that. The fourth thing, and the thing that I hate the most, is people judging you. Whether that's your boss, whether that's people on the tube, whether it's your friends. There are lots of watches out there that you can wear that are worth a huge amount of money, but only watch people know that is something that's worth a huge amount of money. Joe Blogs just wouldn't recognize it from anything. Whereas Rolex, it's the most valuable brand in the world. Everyone knows it. It's all on TV. It's everywhere. So it's just one of those things. The problem is that people have an association of Rolex with bankers but basically people who have more money than sense, and just like to buy expensive things and just drop a whole lot of money on a watch. And so they then give you that label of being someone who has more money than sense, which I find quite frustrating, and often requires a bit of an explanation. But the problem is just when you get to the stage of having to explain yourself and the fact that you own a Rolex, you can't get out of that label of being someone who's got more money than sense, because they just see, you spent X amount on something that tells the time. To you, it's more. There's more to it than that. But they're not interested. They don't get it. It's also awkward when you're in a meeting with a boss and you're trying to negotiate a better pay package, and you're sitting there with a Rolex. So be mindful about that. Hey guys, that's the video. I'd love to hear your stories around servicing. Have you had something serviced? How did it go? How expensive was it? And were you impressed with the outcome? Also, what do you think about the other things that I've mentioned around personal safety, around the insurance? Have you made an insurance claim? Was it successful? And then also around people judging you. I love hearing your stories. The comment section is my favorite part of all of these social media kind of things. The comment section down below is my favorite section by a long way. So another thing I'd quickly like to talk about is an app called SNUPPS. TGV mentioned it a few weeks ago. And it's basically a social media app for people who collect things, which is perfect for us watch people. And you can create little collections, and they call them shelves. If you're on there, check me out at Bark and Jack, and I will follow you back. Go check us out on SNUPPS. Check us out on Instagram at Bark and Jack. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit that bell icon. We're up to 1,000 subscribers now, which is quite amazing. Apparently, something magical happens when you hit 1,000 subscribers. So I'm waiting for that magic to happen. But anyway, you join us down there, and I'll see you next time. Take care.